Okay, I'll give you regrets from trustee Rob Hutchins and call the meeting to order. I squale siem na sietya, ana squalawan kawana silam nala. We respectfully acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional and ancestral lands of the Coatsan people. I'll move to adoption of the agenda, but before we do that, could we add item 7.2.2? Select Standing Committee on Finance and Government Services. So I'd ask for a motion to adopt the agenda of May 3rd, 2022 open board meeting. Moved by trustee Croft, second by trustee Thorne. All those in favor? There's a few people without their screens on. I can't see your votes. Trustee Croft and trustee Doman, you can join us for a moment.
There you go.
Okay, I assume your hand was up, and trustee Croft, I assume your hand was up. And so we have adopted the agenda. Moving to minutes of the April 5th, 2022 open board meeting, and ask for a motion to adopt those minutes. Moved by trustee Thorne, seconded by trustee DeGroot. All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to recognition and delegations. And this item is in response to an amazing event with amazing staff and community people that went to the BC School Trustees Association annual general meeting on behalf of School District 79. School District 79, Cowichan Valley, hosted the event on the Indigenous Day of Learning, led by our own trustee Siemton, Joe Thorne. And so we would like to recognize today some of our trustees, some of our staff, and a student who worked very hard over the last few months and weeks in preparation and implementation of this year's BCSTA AGM in Vancouver and the Indigenous Day of Learning. And here they are joining us. How wonderful. Welcome. So tonight, on behalf of the board, I'd like to acknowledge the following who have been invited to join us virtually. Speakers at the conference, Siemton, trustee Joe Thorne, and elders to Selam, Ron George. I'm not sure if he's joining us this evening or not. And Kwakalitsa, LB Joe Charlie, who I see your name is on a screen here, Kwakalitsa. So I'm really hoping that you're there to hear us because we want to show our appreciation and high regard for you. Also, there were two people who represented it. Hello, Kwakalitsa. It's good to see you. Thank you for attending. There was a section on the agenda for students from 5 districts to talk about a project that they are involved in that is representing Indigenous success. And our student was Elishani George, who was absolutely stunning. If I had to vote which was the best student that presented, which means the best school district, of course, it would be Elishani. Thank you so much. It was just terrific. And we thank our coordinator of Indigenous Student Success, Hannah Morales, for helping and joining her at the conference. It was so wonderful to see you both there to show off for us how wonderful you are. So thank you. And then we had our AGM team of staff who are absolutely incredible what we were able to accomplish as a team. We had our district elder, Dolly Sylvester. Hi, Dolly. Our District Vice Principal of Indigenous Student Achievement, Mary Peter. We had our Hulkaminum Language and Cultural Advisor, Laura Antoine. Oh, she's on cell phone. Hello, Laura. And we had our itinerant Indigenous education teacher, Kara Joyce. Hi, Kara. Our superintendent, Robin Gray. Our secretary treasurer, Jason Sanquist. Our director of instruction, Larry Matten. Our district principal of Indigenous education, Charlie Coleman. And our trustees, trustee Siemton, Joe Thorne, trustee Joanne Kemmler, trustee Elizabeth Croft for half a day, and myself, trustee Candace Spilsbury. It's amazing what this team was able to accomplish and how well we stood out as a school district. We were on top. There is no doubt. We had so many positive comments come to us about our student, our Indigenous education staff. You should have heard Dolly sing. I mean, things were great. And our elders spoke so wise and so passionate and so heartfelt. It was wonderful to hear them speak, although their experiences were extremely sad. We all were impacted by your speaking. So the attendees at the Indigenous Day of Learning on April 25th and 26th had a unique and powerful experience as the day looked and felt different from any other at a BCSDA AGM. It was developed from protocols of the Coast Salish peoples. The Cowichan Valley School District was the remote host of this day, which was entitled Kinchitl, Walking Alongside, Going Home, Honoring Children Found on Residential School Sites. Our school district students had prepared 215 cedar paddles, and I've got one here. They're very outstanding. And on the back is stamped School District 79, so people remember. And we brought them to the conference, and they were given out by Kara, Larry, and Charlie on the morning of the first day to the first 215 participants. I think there was somewhere between 300 to 500 people that were at the conference, and I was very proud of our staff and our elders who were there. So the 215 cedar paddles represented the spirits of the 215 children's bodies that were uncovered at the Kamloops Indian Residential School. The children are coming home. This year's BCSDA AGM was entitled From Grief to Medicine, Moving Forward with Good Hearts. Trustee Siemton, also the BCSDA elder and knowledge holder for the province, was involved in leading the morning session on April 22nd entitled From Grief to Medicine, along with other elders, and that continued the next day. I should also say that Siemton planned the whole event with Gordon Lee, who is the director of education services for the organization. Our own Cowichan secondary student, Elishani George, was invited to speak about her Youth Leading Reconciliation Project at the BCSDA AGM Student Ignite session on April 22nd. Elishani is also a member of the School District Student Advisory Committee and the District Equity Scan Committee. We will have a special ceremony to recognize and honor all of you in person at the District Equity Team Scan meeting on May the 25th. A big haisepka again to all of you for your dedication and efforts. The impact of the day and sessions on the delegates is a testament to your hard work. We are so proud of the work that you have done and continue to do for the benefits of our students, school district, the community, and the province. Thank you so much for all that you have done and for coming this evening to hear us recognize you. And again, we will have that small ceremony for you because there's nothing like in-person meetings and thank yous. So we'll see you then. Oh, wait a sec before you go. Our elder leader, Siemten, would you like to say anything?
Tara Haitzapka na homo, Haitzapka na holmito, Kach namastimu na I'd like to thank everybody for those 2 days. And there were 550, Candace, in total. It meant so much to finally open a door. Now we've all got to pick up ourselves and walk together through that door. We have so many changes that we're working on. And so they can be done so simply. We just talked about it earlier. But I can't stop feeling the emotion from that day to today and what it meant to me to have a dream that I've had since my first day on board as a trustee come true and have an awakening and to start walking together, moving a whole province in one direction. Thanks to the Sahuin, the elders, we've made a clear direction for all. And I'm really proud of School District 79 because as a team, though I may not have spent a lot of time with each of you, we all walked the same direction with the same idea to have a better future for our children. And to our Indigenous committee or departments, I couldn't have done this without you. The prayers, the counseling. You know, I was ever so proud to see a lot of the people I grew up with come from Haida Gwaii to the island. It was an amazing adventure. An adventure I hope sheds light on how we do business with education from now on. And to have representatives from other communities, the Black community, the Pakistani, all of the other communities that were just there as observers, it meant a lot to me to see that they were watching and listening and they were learning. So School District 79, I raise my hands to you for trusting a dream and making it a reality. Now I'd like to see all of the positive, and I think there is going to be a lot of positive. So each of you deserve praise. I am just part of a team. I want to make that very, 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 very clear. I said that time and time again to Candace. I prefer to be in the back. I don't like to be in the front. So Haitzapka to all.
It's good, Joe. And Dolly, would you like to say something to close off our recognition for our team as our district elder?
Yeah, I'd just like to just raise my hand to everyone. I really enjoyed being over there, and I learned a lot too. And that was really nice to see all the trustees, learning about our culture and about our language, and everything. That was quite amazing event and I really enjoyed it. And thanks to our star student that will represent School District 79, that was awesome with high tab.
Haichka. And Kwokalitsa, as our community elder, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, first of all, I thank each one of you. And I especially thank you for inviting me to this conference. It was new, it was a new experience. It was a good experience. And everyone that there was so respectful. And this conference was very cultural. And that's what made it powerful.
Mhm.
When we move forward culturally, it's moving towards better understanding and building relationship with each other. This is very important to all of us. And the door is wide open now. It used to be just a crack, but it's wide open now towards relationship. And so I thank each one of you and everyone that was there
Mm.
took care of the elders. And I really thank you for that respect, Aisha.
Aichka, Kwakwalitsa, and Hi Sepka to all of you on our district team. We won't let you get away from us. You'll be on our district team forever. So I just thought I'd let you know. And we'll see you. I think is it May 25th is our ceremony or our equity in action meeting. So we'll see you all then. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank
You always,
Yeah, what?
you. With
you always, Mary.
Yeah, I was uncle.
Okay, we need to go back to our meeting and you'll find quite a difference now as we move into our agenda. Okay, number 5 is report of closed meeting. Mr. Sandquist.
Thank you. For the hour prior to the open session, the board met in closed, reviewed personnel issues, made some property and contract decisions, but did not conclude the business. Following the open session, the board will return to closed.
Thank you. Moving to item 7, chair of the board, the first 7.1.1 is about the BCSDA AGM. And I just mention again, the conference was titled From Grief to Medicine, Moving Forward with Good Hearts. Oh, Mr. Sandquist, what have I forgotten?
The action list.
Oh, great. Do we have to? I guess so. Okay, action list. Mr. Sandquist,
Thank you. 1 moment, I'm just bringing it up.
thank you. Yes, I'm glad that you stopped me, Mr. Sandquist. Is there something that you wish to say about the action list?
Well, and under my name, we do see a number of items. The first one that's shared by myself and Superintendent Gray is around preparing a draft anti-racism policy, and there is an anti-racism committee which will begin to transition into that work in the future. Nourish Cowichan was a motion that came from their delegation at the last meeting. And we're collecting some information around the communication of their program to all of our schools in the district. And the final item was I was directed to make inquiries to the Ministry of Education and Childcare about whether there'll be funding for the early learning manager's position that the board has created in the upcoming budget. I have reached out to the ministry and there is no funding at this time. The only funding that's continuing for childcare would be funding that school districts would already have been receiving from the previous Ministry of Children and Families that was overseeing childcare.
Thank you. And I have 2 items to report on as well. The first is meeting with First Nations. And if you recall, this has been on our agenda for the last 2+ years. It was put on just prior to the pandemic. And we did have a chance to meet with Halalton, Layaxon First Nations at that point. Since then, nations and ourselves have not been open to meetings in this same way as we used to do in-person meetings. And so we've kind of moved away from those kinds of gatherings into a different kind of individual meeting. And we have had many meetings with Cowichan tribes regarding Cowichan Secondary School. We have met with Penelakut tribe around, and many of the First Nations around LEAs. We have had just one budget meeting with all of the nations who wish to attend around budget, as well with Trustee Thorne and I going out to the First Nations to talk about an All Nations Council. There has been considerable contact with each of the nations, which was really the spirit of this motion. And I'm thinking that it would be best to assume that we have completed this idea of reconnecting or connecting with our nations, and to wait until the fall, until there is a new board, and determine the next steps. So I'm not sure if you have any comments about that, or if you would be okay to just assume we have had significant connections at this point, and allow us to entertain the idea that we have completed the individual meetings and to move to the next steps as we come out of the pandemic. Any comments from trustees? Trustee Thorne? Oh,
I think we've met with enough bands and we've had a lot of favoritism towards having a meeting with all of the nations once a year, once or twice a year, to
Mhm.
talk about their students and the direction that the direction and care that they're getting in our school system. So I really like it. I think it's great. And it's nothing new. I mean, there at one point was a Cowichan Mistimo a long time ago, and this is just added knowledge when we get to hear from the bands of what they like to see or what they think or have any concerns that they have. I think it's important. That's all. Thank you.
thank you. So what Trustee Thorne is referring to is what is being noted here as an All Nations Council that Trustee Thorne and I are meeting with each of the nations to talk about. We have just, I believe, three nations yet to meet with. The rest we have already met with, and it's been positive meetings. We've been welcomed and the idea has been endorsed. And so we have at least one other nation to meet with this month, and hopefully the other two will have meetings with us shortly. And then we'll bring the All Nations Council idea to you next month. So any comments, questions on the action list? Okay, now I can move on to Chair of the Board for board information. And the first one is the AGM. You've heard some pieces of that already. The title of the conference was From Grief to Medicine, Moving Forward with Good Hearts, planned and implemented by leadership of the trustee Joe Thorne. There, the elders spoke of their stories, shining through with the grief of residential schools and the experiences of the children, again with the wisdom and knowledge of Indigenous culture. It was profound for all of us in the audience. Students from 6 school districts spoke about their projects highlighting reconciliation and pathways to success. The new BCSDA executive has been elected for the 2022-23 school year. President is Caroline Brody. from West Vancouver School District. Vice President is Tim Bennett from Prince George. Directors are John Chenoweth from Nicola Similkameen, Jane Fearing from Rocky Mountain, Tracy Loeffler from Mission, Bob Holmes from Surrey, and Jen Menzie from Burnaby. The past president is still on the executive next year, Stephanie Higginson from Nanaimo, and all of the motions, as well as all the other pieces of the conference and AGM are on the BCSD TA hub. Are there any questions at this point, or are you good? Okay, and moving to 7.1.2, board performance review, our Pro-D retreat as a follow-up. Please make sure you mark down Saturday, May 28th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. For our retreat. Our focus is around vulnerable children, mental health, and Indigenous education. Gordon Lee is organizing for us, and with all of his involvement with the AGM, it's only in the last little while that we've been able to really reconvene and talk about it, and so we'll have the details out to you via email soon. Any questions on that? Okay, 7.1.3, the board tour of new Cowichan Secondary School. Not yet with a date to give you, but the plan is to have a tour in June. We'll need to complete a training aspect of that. And of course, wear our hard hats, which we all have and we'll need to bring, as well as steel-toed boots. So be prepared for more info to come. 7.1.4, appointments to the Cowichan Secondary School preparation. They are attached, and they're basically the same appointments as we did prior to this time, but the committees have somewhat changed, and so we just refocused that for you. But basically, the areas that you were interested in the past, you're still assigned to be part of that discussion, and here they are. So the Cowichan Tribes Vision Team, trustees Thorne and DeGroot, fixture, furnitures and equipment, trustee Kembler and trustee Doman, District Advisory Committee, trustee Croft and trustee Hutchins, and I'm still connected with the Neighborhood Learning Centers, as well as I can be a committee alternate for anyone on the committee who can't attend a meeting. Just let me know and I can sub in for you. So any questions or comments on that? Okay, so those meetings are supposed to be happening soon, so be prepared. 7.1.5, an Indigenous Day of Learning for Cowichan Valley. You may remember that at advisory, our district DPAC chair, Carmen, mentioned that it would be great to have an Indigenous Day of Learning like we had at BCSDA for our own Cowichan Valley, for our staff and our parents and our community. And so the question is, are we saying yes to that? And the second question is, if we're saying yes, then when are we thinking? Are we thinking, well, I missed the rest of this school year, but you might think about that, September or October, or what are our thoughts around that? Trustee Croft?
Well, I appreciate your comment about September, October. That's probably the only opening between now and the elections, if presuming this board wants to be part of it. Yeah, I think it's an awesome idea for sure.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Trustee Thorne, maybe you best comment because you would be leading it.
I'm open to whatever the board suggests. And I'd be happy to, 'cause I know a couple of guys that'll help me.
Oh, great, thank you. Trustee Croft?
Madam Chair, I'd like to compliment you on your skills around doing the voluntold thing. Well done, well done.
Thank you. Trustee DeGroot?
So that people remember the election is October 15th. So if we're going to do something like this, it probably should be end of September, first week or so of October. There'll be a lot of stuff happening after that.
Okay, thank you. Would someone like to put that on into motion? Into a motion? Trustee DeGroot?
I'm not going to have the wording for it, but that the board supports and where is it? I'm trying to find it. Couch and the motion of a Jason, can you write a motion for an Indigenous Day of Learning, inviting the community to participate?
Okay, moved by Trustee DeGroot. Is there a seconder? Trustee Croft? Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving to 7.1.6, the Wellness and Recovery Center Tour. And I did ask you by email what days of the week and what time of the day would be best for you. And so we have two options here. Both are on Thursdays. So one is Thursday, May 12th at 8 a.m. So people can attend at least some of the tour and then go to work when they need to. So May the 12th or May the 19th, again at 8 a.m. Our tour guides would be Dr. Shannon Waters and Dana Leek, who organizes or is in charge of the clinic. So could I have a recommendation as to which day we would choose? Trustee Croft?
Could we go with the 19th? I have something on the 12th. I don't remember what it is.
Okay. Could we just have a straw vote of hands, those people who would be available on Thursday, May 19th at 8 a.m. for the tour of the Wellness and Recovery Center? Okay, that puts all of us there. Thank you. Now, I don't see Trustee DeGroot anymore. Is she been dislodged somehow? Okay, well, we'll just hope she can come back in. Okay, 7.1.7 is Moose Hide Campaign Day. And according to their little brochure, just as a reminder, the Moose Hide Campaign is a grassroots movement of Indigenous and non-Indigenous men and boys who are standing up against violence towards women and children. Wearing this moose hide, which we were all given, I think last year or the year before at advisory, signifies your commitment to honor, respect, and protect the women and children in your life, and to work together with other men and boys and women, in this case, to end violence against women and children. So the actual day of the campaign is May the 12th, 2022, but according to their website, people are asked to wear the moose hide all year long. So just a notification. And then 7.1.8 is the National Day of Awareness for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls, and Two-Spirited People, also known as Red Dress Day. And that is tomorrow. I'm not sure if there is a community launch like there was last year or not. I'm not sure if Trustee Thorne is there. Do you know of a community gathering?
There
Trustee?
is in town, I think, on the 5th.
Yes.
WAVA is holding a day. I was asked to go and sing but I don't think I can because of my regular job being in Langford.
Okay. So if you're interested in the local campaign, then just go on the Cowichan Women Against Violence website, and there should be information. Okay, moving to item 7.2 for board action. We have two items there. The first is the pride flag, and we have a suggested motion that the Board of Education of School District 79, Cowichan Valley requests that the pride flag be flown at the school board office from May 31st, 2022 to the end of June 2022 to symbolize its support of diversity and inclusion. Trustee Croft?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Croft. Is there a seconder? Trustee Thorn? Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Moving to item 7.2.2, the Select Standing Committee on Finance and Government Services. You may remember that we have presented to them every year for the last many years. The first time I presented on video, the second time I think I presented in person, and from then on we've done the survey. I have never received a response from them, nor have I felt very effective in terms of changing their minds. So I'll give you a motion which you are free to change. That the Board of Education for Cowichan Valley School District does not participate in the Select Standing Committee on Finance and Government Services Consultation 2022. Is remover or a changer from similar motion. Trustee Croft?
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, I don't have a specific change in mind. However, if we're going to bail on the whole process, shouldn't we let them know why we're bailing, that it's ineffective, there's no response? I'd like to send a letter to that regard. Can I make a motion on that? Would that be suitable at this point?
Yes, it would.
Okay, so move that the Board of Education not participate this year in the consultation. Instead, we send a letter noting that our participation, that we haven't had any response to our participation and we don't feel this is an effective venue for us.
Thank you. Moved by Trustee Croft, seconded. Is there a seconder?
No, Joe's seconding it.
Trustee Thorn. Okay. So comments or discussion on the motion? Trustee DeGroot.
I believe that we're allowed to individually put stuff onto the we don't have to, we can do it. Like, because when I read, right? So we might say is that it's not coming from the board, but if individuals of the board wish to respond, that they could be allowed to do so.
Okay, that's kind of a sub comment. Mr. Sandquist, do you see an amendment coming into the motion, or is that a separate motion, or is that just a comment?
I think this motion is specific to a board response, not to an individual response. So I think the motion is fine, but that's important information for trustees to be aware of if they're able to make individual responses that aren't representing the board.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Okay, are those opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. Okay, we're moving to item 8, Superintendent of Schools. Ms. Gray.
Thank you very much. I do want to share one thing with the board. I did receive communication that during the recognition of the BCSTA Indigenous Day of Learning, that Ron George Tusilam had to send his regrets. So I wanted to share that with you before I had forgotten.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on to 8.1.1 personnel updates, I want to share with the board that there has been several changes being made to the principal and vice principal assignments for next year, which are shown on the attached list of PVP assignments for 2022-2023. And you'll find those on page 17. These changes were communicated to schools and district staff on April the 20th. Additionally, we recently had a posting for a new secondary principal, and that position is now filled and was included in the attached document. And so we are able to congratulate Claire Whitney, who was a successful candidate of the secondary principalship, as well as Kim Darbyshire, who was also the successful candidate for the new district vice principal of inclusive learning. So that has been communicated out to our field on April the 20th. Thank you very much, Secretary Treasurer. Moving on to board information, I wanted to provide the board with a district scholarship update on 8.2.1. This year, we received 83 district scholarships shared between our 4 high schools, Seavolk and The Grove. Each one of these scholarships are worth $1,250. Some trustees will be joining school staffs as judges, and students are judged on their achievement in an area of non-academic study, commitment to the non-academic area, general proficiency in other subject areas, involvement in community, extracurricular, and citizenship, and their overall ability to prepare and perform a presentation. And so this year we have a number of dates, and here's a summary of each one of those. Cowichan Secondary School will be having their district scholarship day of judging on May the 4th. It will be a combination of in-person meetings in the library and room 220 with a private setting for students who maybe need a quieter setting. There'll be 9 judges, and presentations will vary from conversations, video presentations, demonstrations, sharing their capstone, and interviews. At Francis Kelsing, their judging will occur on May the 11th. It will not be in person, but it will be pre-recorded video submissions that will be later judged by 9 to 10 judges. This is the same format as last year. At Seavolk and The Grove, it will occur on May the 11th. It will be in person in the halls, upstairs and downstairs, and spread throughout the school. There will be 3 judges, similar format to pre-COVID, with students with displays, interview, and presentation styles. At Chemaina Secondary, it will occur on May the 13th. It will be in person in the library. They are hoping to have 5 judges. So if there has been any trustees who haven't committed, Chemaina Secondary could be looking for some judges. And it will be also a similar format to pre-COVID, student with displays, interview, presentation style, and so on. And at Lake Cowichan School, it will happen on May the 27th. It will be in person in room 105 in the foyer. There'll be 2 sets of 3 judges, and it will also have students with displays, interview, and presentation style. So we're very excited to have our district scholarship month of May continue, and some exciting times for some of our learners who will be moving forward and be recipients of those particular scholarships. Any questions before I move on? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to 8.2.2, you will find in your package on page 18 an update on school fees 2022 and 2023. So the school district may charge fees for goods and services in accordance with the Ministerial Order 23607. The district may also require refundable or partly refundable deposits for educational resource materials in accordance with Section 82 of the School Act. But in accordance with our school district's administrative procedure 505, student fee schedules must be approved by the superintendent by May 31st for implementation the following September. So you will see some of those fees attached. But per policy 2, role of the board has retained the right to approve fees for academies, international students, and out-of-province students. So you'll see that the school fees and deposit schedule for school next year is attached for board information. But of note, there is a change in the standard district fees for graduation. And so the usual basic cost for graduation has been $60, but due to the increasing costs of inclusive of grad gowns, we have actually increased that to $75 for some schools. But I also want to alert the board that under the academy fees section, you're going to see that you've already approved previous to this board meeting, the special academy fees for Couch and Secondary School Rugby Academy, as well as the Couch and Open School Performing Arts Academy when you approved both of those academies previously. But you're going to see that later in our agenda under the committee section that there are recommendations from BEBC regarding academy proposals from Francis Kelsey Secondary. And if approved by the board, then those academy fees will be added to this schedule to be completed by May the 31st. So any comments or questions on that school fees and deposits schedule? Okay, I will then move on to the superintendent's report. The update, it's always the most exciting of each board meeting. Firstly, I'd like to just do some acknowledgements. Firstly, I'd like to recognize all the human resources team. They have been doing a number of innovative initiatives. They have gone to electronic postings, and they're also activating a new teaching staffing process. And so as a team, they have been doing some huge project work to make things a little bit more simplified, more efficient, and overall some new processes that are certainly moving us along in one of our goals, which is around a future focused system. And then secondly, I want to recognize all school operations and transportation staff, because this is a similar year to pre-COVID years, where there are a number of year-end activities that includes celebrations, field trips, and other large-scale community events. And so a lot of work and effort are put in certainly to these year-end events that are celebratory in nature, but also require a lot of staff involvement and input. So congratulations to all of them. I'd like to now move on to surveys and assessments. So at the end of April, the student learning survey was complete. This is where we have a province-wide grades 4, 7, 10, and 12 students, their parents and staff who actually do the student learning survey. And there are a number of questions. And I think the board, we have reviewed some of those questions that are upwards of, many questions related to health and wellness, their sense of belonging, how safe they feel in schools. And so all of our schools have been participating in those surveys this past, I would say, 3 months. And then, of course, we have our provincial assessments. And so last week as well, we had our grade 10 numeracy and our grade 10 literacy assessments, as well as our grade 12 literacy assessment that would have been initiated at all of our school sites. And then further to that would be our district assessments. And so we know that presently right now we are looking at revising some of our assessments, but we also know that these are important assessments to do. And some schools will continue the assessments that occurred in the fall, like the early screener, like the DART, if indeed they would like to do so to inform their instruction and also to inform their school plans. So a lot of that work is currently happening right now. I also want to let the board know that we have Ready, Set, Learn and Ready, Set, Go. That is occurring this month. Ready, Set, Learn is a community-based event, and it will be held in May at various park locations throughout the Cowichan Valley, and we will be facilitated by our Strong Start BC educators. Advertising for these events will be provided by Learning Links once the dates and locations have been confirmed. We also have the Ready, Set, Go school-based event. And each year, these events are developed by a team of kindergarten teachers who work together to design events that are developmentally appropriate and will help create an atmosphere of welcome for our kindergartners and their families as they come into the schools and prepare for coming into our learning community. And they planned that this year is a story walk, which was very similar to the same event that they held a few years back when we had these events in person. Moving along to our Catalyst updates. If you recall, we had a drama challenge, which was video entries, and it has now wrapped up, and I wanted to share with you the winning teams. But as a reminder, the judges came from Francis Kelsey Secondary senior drama students, and medals will be distributed to honor the hard work and creativity. So here we go. Grade 4 and 5, first place was Ecole Cobble Hill. Second place was Ecole Cobble Hill. And third place was Coheman at the grade 4 or 5 level. And then at the grade 6 and 7 level was Ecole Cobble Hill. And second place was Maple Bay Elementary, and third place was Coheman. So a great congratulations to all of those students who actually submitted a video entry with regard to that. And also, I think a thank you to the Francis Kelsey students who actually initiated that and was highly engaged in that development of that competition. Also, Catalyst is working with careers to build birdhouses, and the teachers are supporting teachers with the builds by using the career resources. And then lastly, they continue to share the monthly outdoor education and primary STEM challenges to help support teachers to embed learning enhancement in each one of the classrooms. So that is the Catalyst update. And then moving on, and this is where I think we have some photos. And so I know our Secretary Treasurer, if you wouldn't mind sharing some of our photos. And firstly, we have the robotics skills competition. So the top photo here is on April 20th, the Francis Kelsey Secondary Robotics team advanced to the skills provincials, and they placed 5th at provincials. You will see a picture of teacher Josh Page and his students, Tyler Bosens, Christopher Mary, and Ethan Barnett. And in this competition was a gold mining competition where students had to create a way to remove gold, that was really ball bearings and large washers, from a virtual open mine pit and then take it back to their starting area. The Kelsey team built 2 robots, one robot that would be lowered by the other robot into the open pit, and the smaller robot would then gather the gold and then get craned out. It was a very creative solution to that challenge. So congratulations to Francis Kelsey team. Then there was the culinary skills competition. And so this occurred on April the 21st, and it was a Skills BC regional culinary competition at VIU Cowichan. Francois Dijon, the culinary instructor at VIU, opened his kitchen to competitors from all over Mid-Island. And we had a post-secondary competition and a high school competition. Competitors were judged on an omelet dish and a salmon dinner dish. Students were judged on presentation, work habits, and of course, taste. Cowichan Valley School District students placed first. These were the dual credit students. Jennifer Sankpeel. Second place was Michael Brimbrom, and third was Oscar Merchant. And at the high school level was a second place earner was Ethan Mellings, and third place was Bree Smith and Philip Chen. And so you can see our students did very, very well in that competition. And then lastly, there's no photo of this one. We had a women in trades event at Camosun. And on April 21st, we had a busload of students going to the Women in Trades event at Camosun College. This super event sparked interest in the trades for many of our young women at our secondary level in trades. So very exciting times in careers. Thank you very much, Jason. And then moving on, you can see here is a aerial view. There we go, thank you. An aerial view of Cowichan Secondary replacement site. And so this is the work that's being done at Cowichan Secondary School. And I want the board to take note that you can see the footprint of how large the school will be. And so there's a bit of a rectangular space, an open space, and then another square space. And if you compare that to VIU, it is very, very large in scale. So you can see how large this high school is going to be and how small VIU is. It's almost like a bit of the younger sister or the younger brother, because it's quite small in comparison to the large high school that we are building. So it's really a a nice shot of the beginning of the work at Cowichan Secondary School. Okay, and then I wanted to share with the board that if you recall, we have Decolonizing Instruction and Learning series with Maribel Valdez Gonzalez. We've already had 2 sessions. Over 40 people attended this particular session, and we have 2 more sessions happening on May the 9th and May the 25th. So we're thrilled with a number of leaders who are actually participating in this session. And then I want to move on to Crofton Elementary, and they've had a school project on invisible disabilities. And you can see that on April the 20th, grade 5 and 6 students from Alex Hall's and Cassie Ward's classes showcased their school projects on invisible disabilities. Students selected and researched an invisible disabilities such as autism, fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, bipolar disorder, and dyslexia, then presented their projects in displays in the gym for parents to view. The students learned about invisible disabilities and what it's like for people who live with their particular condition.
Great.
And then lastly, here were some photos. Discovery Elementary, they have been a recipient of a new kiln. And so a new kiln was purchased, and at the end of April, on the 27th, during their PLC, staff were trained to use it, and so that they can bring pottery into all the classrooms. So you can see the lead person who's leading the session, and you can see the highly engaged staff of Discovery engaging in their learning as they learn about pottery and the use of their new kiln. So that's all the photos I have, but I have a number of other things I want to share with the board today. We have 2 areas that have been recipients of some grants. Mill Bay Nature School has been a recipient of the TELUS Story Hive grant of $20,000. So head learner, Principal Kim Andrick, Ariana Augustine, and Tuselam have collaborated on the imaginings and writing for a TELUS Story Hive grant, which they were successful in receiving. This is an opportunity to showcase their collective passion towards the work of truth and reconciliation in the Cowichan Valley. So the title of the project is 10,000 Beads, One Strand Connecting Time and People. And the project will document through video the struggle of a largely non-Indigenous student, staff, and families as they strive to understand and reconcile the local history of colonization and residential schools. And so as they embark on this project, it will be there to inspire deep change with the goal of reaching beyond the school community, across the valley, the island, and the province, connecting with 10,000 lives. So you can see that they've got an inspiring project that is also quite ambitious. And so I'm sure that we're going to hear more about that as we move forward. The next grant that we are involved with is that in partnership with Cowichan Tribes and the school district, we have been approved for an $80,000 funding through the Language Technology Program to support language revitalization using technology. The program will run for 12 months beginning in July, and the funds are to administer and create recordings, which is 500 words and phrases, and upload to the First Voices portal. The plan is to use words and phrases as part of a web-based Hul'qumi'num language acquisition program. The grant is administered through Cowichan Tribes, and so they will be reporting on the financials and the hiring of the people. So we will be working with Cowichan Tribes to outline what content, the classes and the courses the platform would deliver, as well as overseeing of the project. And so this will be much needed and exciting work around digitizing some of these resources and keeping it alive, even at a time when maybe we might be requiring the voices of our elders. Those are the 2 grants. And then I just want to alert the board that this week is Mental Health Week between May 2nd through the 8th. And so this is the week that the Canadian Mental Health Association has named this particular week. Yesterday, links to the resources about mental health from the Canadian Mental Health Association and LifeSpeak were sent out to school district staff from our health and wellness coordinator. And then moving on, we have a team of educators, principals, and our directors who are at the Deeper Learning Dozen convening number 12. This is the first time it has been in person. It is located in Abbotsford, and this is where we have 8 of our districts from the United States of America, as well as 4 districts in BC who participate in this. So presently, right now, we have Director Larry Matten, soon to be Director Jeff Rowan, and 3 other principals who are deeply invested in deeper learning around equity. And that's Nicole Boucher, Jennifer Caverly, and Darcy Hoff, who are presently representing Cowichan Valley School District in Abbotsford around Learning Today. On May 6th, this Friday, we have a non-instructional day. And so I will be having just a small moment with QP Pro D session to welcome them back at Quamachin School in person. They haven't had that event for the last couple of years in person, so I'm looking forward to attending there. Our principals and our vice principals from Cowichan Valley are learning about Indigenous ways of knowing, and Tenning from First Nations Educational Steering Committee will be leading their learning this Friday for all of our principals and vice principals. And at our school sites, there'll be a variety of different things going on. And one that I will mention is an example at Alex Aiken. They will be focusing on Tier 1 reading instruction, as well as Tier 2 and 3 reading intervention. So just an idea of what's happening across the school district on May the 6th. We have some upcoming meetings with the ministry. We have the First Nations Education Outcomes Indigenous team. They will be meeting with the Ministry of Education and district staff on May the 11th. I have an all superintendents meeting next Friday on May the 13th in Vancouver. It will be, again, the first time we will be meeting in person. And then we also have the district equity scan team meeting, which is May the 25th. And this is where we invite our community members who are participants in the equity scan. And so we'll be looking forward to meeting again in person at Arbutus Ridge. And it will be from 12 to 2:30. And I know that there are some trustees who are involved in that particular initiative. And lastly, I would just like to say that a few of the senior team members will be participating in the BC Superintendent's Spring Forum, which will be held on May 26th and 27th in Campbell River. So many things happening here. And of course, I haven't even mentioned all the ceremonies and the graduation events that will be coming up, but that will be something that will be attached in the agenda here at the end. So thank you. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Are there any questions from trustees? Well, I'd just like to repeat, many things are happening here, but also say many things that are wonderful are happening here. It's just really encouraging and inspiring to hear all of the good work that's going on for our kids. So thank you, Superintendent. Okay, moving to Secretary Treasurer, Mr. Sandquist.
Thank you. My highlight of the evening is up next, and it is the 2022-2023 annual budget. It's a process the board have been actively engaged in for the past 2.5 months, seemingly meeting weekly or more often than that. And the process began with an enrollment estimate and has gone through a significant amount of public consultation. There has been meetings with the liaisons, partners, with the rights holders. We've had a survey, we've had public meeting, we've brought in much input and very much appreciate the time that the board has dedicated to the process. We know it does take a lot of hours to get to a balanced budget from a starting position. But also extend those thank yous to the senior team who met and worked on the proposals for the board under the board's direction. As well, thank the partners and public who provided the input, and then the finance team who have assisted and certainly provided a lot of support in getting the documents ready and the estimates completed. And of course, Claire, who proofreads everything that I create to make sure that it's presented with spelling correct and grammar correct. So I do have an attached document, and I'll share it briefly because BEBC has already gone over all the budget details and made this recommendation to the board, but we have created a guided tour, and it does give us some highlights of the budget. So I think it just needs a very quick review. The board was working through the budget, always kept the strategic priorities of mind, which were learning, Indigenous ways of knowing, culture, care, and future focused systems. On the, so I actually need to get this to 100%. On the revenue side, oh, it doesn't actually scroll very well for me, sorry. On the revenue side, revenues are down from the amended budget by about 4.4 million. The majority of that relates to just the way we report capital and site works. So about 3.4 of that is related to site improvements that are happening on the couch and secondary site, which will end this year. But highlights of the budget really related in the expenditure side. There was a net increase to teaching staff, which is a small increase due to projected enrollment increase of 36 FTE students. And as the schools submit their estimates, particularly elementary, that's very close. We're within 23 students of the estimate in February with where we're at today, based on what the schools believe their enrollment's going to be. The board ensured the continuation of mental health supports that were provided through an additional grant this year by providing operating funding to keep that program rolling into the next year. The budget contains increased funding for student assessments, funding to maintain a successful literacy initiative at Alexandra and Coheman that was previously funded from external money from the province and federal governments for COVID. Created an early years manager to help guide the district as that mandate expands. The budget creates a technology dashboard that will allow for better analysis and communication of student data. And it provides funding to revise the school district's website, which will improve communications. The board also had to adjust to new information during the budget process, which provided 5 days of sick leave for casual employees. In order to balance the budget, it required bringing in $2.23 million of surplus. The board had this surplus due to sound financial management through COVID. Many boards used all their surplus during that time to manage, but School District 79 fortunately came out of the pandemic in a solid financial position to help maintain the next couple of years of budgets at a relatively stable level, if projections are accurate. And the budget includes a total of 982.84 FTE. So if you think about us as the largest employer, that's full-time equivalent employment for the members of our community. That now takes us into the budget bylaw specifically, where I'll just really quickly highlight that the budget is $111,845,469. It is made up of the items that you see in front of you here. The operating budget has increased from 93.7 million to 94 million, 94.1 million. Special purpose funds, that's where we're down. That is down due to not being able to budget for remedies at this stage. Also not receiving some of those external funds that were help that assisted the board in managing COVID. So overall, relatively consistent with the prior year. The prior year also had rollovers for unexpended budgets from the year before. So we will have motions included in the agenda, which relate to the first, second, hopefully third reading of the budget bylaw in the amount of $111,845,469. And if there's any questions, I'd be willing to take those now or when you're debating a motion.
Are there any questions from trustees? Okay, so let's look at the bylaws. So the first is the first reading to the 2022-23 annual budget. Is there a mover for that? Moved by trustee DeGroot, seconded by trustee Kemmler. All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to the second reading. Is there a mover for the second reading of the budget? Moved by trustee Thorne, seconded by trustee Doman. Any conversation on that motion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to the that the board considers 3 readings of the budget at this meeting. So your mover, moved by trustee DeGroot, seconded by trustee Doman. Any conversation on the motion? All those in favor? Motion carries. And moving to the third and final reading of the 2022-23 annual budget. Is there a mover of that motion? Moved by trustee DeGroot, seconded by trustee Thorne. All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, thank you, Mr. Sandquist. And you referenced all the people that needed some thank you for this budget, and the board certainly agrees with and wants to heighten the fact that we appreciate so much that all the work that the budget team does for us, and certainly you as the lead gets our our maximum thank you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving to trustee Croft is about to sing
Happy
it.
dance.
Trustee Kemmler is about to dance it. So there you go. You got it all. All right, 9.1.2 is the 2022-2023 annual facilities grant. And at the direction of Mr. Sandquist, I'd like to invite Richard Dybel, our Director of Operations, to join us and go through the annual facilities grant.
Thank you.
Hi.
Everybody. First of all, it's been a while. I don't get the opportunity to sit in front of you in person. Well, I guess in person and be able to speak. So this is fantastic. And usually I just kind of get to see my face and get to see yours. So I get the joy of presenting our AFG plan. So a lot of energy has kind of gone on into this, and it's been an interesting exercise because, as you all know, we do have a bunch of new faces around here. So we do get a different perspective and a fresh set of eyes evaluating our facilities. So you'll see that we do have a lot of technology as far as phone systems, intrusion alarms, as well as fire safety items like sprinklers. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'll pull this up for you all so you'll be able to see what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so it should start with Alex Aiken. So at Alex Aiken, we've got a couple upgrades there. We've got the interior upgrade and for a conversion of a storage room into a janitorial room. They also have a phone system. As I kind of mentioned, we got a few of those you'll see on this list, but they got a phone system upgrade. Alexander has got an inclusive washroom project that we're excited about. So it will be fully inclusive, including accessible. So that's an interesting conversion that we're looking forward to make happen for that school. Bench, once again, one of our facilities has got quite a bit of work going on. So they've got some PA upgrades, some intrusion alarm, they've got an air handler and a boiler repair that needs to happen. We're also doing a fair bit of friable asbestos removal over the summer at that school. And then the exterior storefront there needs to be replaced. On the plan that you have, actually, this shows up a little bit early or a little bit later with the combination of Francis Kelsey and Bench. But last second decision, we did evaluate it. So it did get just swapped to Bench. That was the highest priority. So you won't see this repeated on the list for Francis Kelsey. Shemana Secondary has got some fire sprinkler repairs that need to happen there. We've also, right along Pine Street, have got some regrading we need to do, and there's some stairs that the public use from Pine Street into the field right by the running track. So we've got some erosion that we need to fix, and then we're looking at incorporating more of like a gentle ramp transition onto the field to create a little bit more. It won't be accessible compliant, but a little bit more accessible friendly than a set of stairs are. So you'll see that work going on this summer. The stage lighting has been really out of commission, Chemaina Secondary, for quite some time. So we're hoping to jump on that this year and be able to get them up to speed. Cobble Hill, fire sprinkler repairs. So like I mentioned, you'll see a fair bit of that. Cowichan Secondary School, we're going to continue on with a little bit of upgrading with the ventilation of portables. So we still got a bit of carryover. We just need to finish up there for 35,000. So, and then we should be finished all our portables at that site. Discovery, we've got a storefront door replacement there. A lot of our entrance doors, as you can imagine, we've got a lot of kids coming and going, so those do take a little bit of abuse, and you know, they aren't typically the best quality when we use this type of storefront. So we're hoping to upgrade those into something that's a little bit better for, and more of a commercial quality for the schools. Duncan Elementary. This one's a big one, and it does have a heritage status, but we've actually, due to deterioration, we've had to shut down the entrance of that school. So we have it temporarily hoarded off, and we worked with the school to ensure that the students can come and go, but we're using the side entrances. So the disruption to the school is quite minimal, although it is quite an invasive project for us. And we're working with the city of Duncan on the heritage aspects of things, trying to figure out how to make that work as far as historic elements go. The Francis Kelsey's just getting an intrusion alarm. George Bonner, we've got a pretty significant site upgrade at the rear of the property there. And then it has a fire panel replacement that's needed. It's got an obsolete panel in there as well. Hard to get parts for. Parking lot upgrade. We've got the wonderful daycare going in at Coheman, but the daycare site kind of, you know, it brought to light some of the issues that we actually have in that parking area and lack thereof in a way, and just the way it flows. So we're going to use 75,000 to kind of fix that area and get some proper signage. The school would have really appreciate that. So we're working closely with Jen and her team over there. They've got a flooring replacement for the multi-purpose room and an antiquated phone system that needs to be replaced. Lake Cowichan is always lots of fun. Not gonna lie, it's a pretty interesting location and site, and lots of great work to do there. So we've got PA system upgrade. So we hope to be able to actually get the entire site on PA. So right now with some of our outbuildings, they do not have the ability to be able to PA and announce to those outbuildings. So we're hoping to get a system that will be able to reach out to those buildings. So that's pretty good news for us. Sprinkler upgrade is a big deal out there. This one looks like a $250,000 upgrade, and that's just phase one. So the fire sprinkler system is very antiquated, does not meet modern day code, and so we're going to give it our best shot to really bring that one up to code up to today. Sorry. Also, we have already been working on the cooling tower, but the heat pump needs replacing, and also the second component of the cooling tower needs replacement. So that's approximately $100,000 project there for us. Maple Bay, these torrential rains that we've been getting has really been an eye-opener for us on some of the change in topography and things like that we had a river really come down the hillside at Maple Bay. So we're looking to upgrade the drainage along there to be able to correct that flow and get it into the city sewer system there. So there's a big project going on. The fire sprinkler repairs also at Maple Bay. Quamachin Middle School is a PA system and phone system, so they're largely tech upgrades right now. They do have other funding through SEP coming their way, or CNCP, sorry. But right now we're looking at doing PA and phone. SBO has got a little bit of minor stuff going on. We're going to complete the painting, and we've got just a small budget of $25,000 set aside for a little bit of miscellaneous office renovations that'll be required over the summer. Tanzer water billing station, pretty basic. They're in dire need of one, so we're going to make that happen this summer as well. Thetis Island, $100,000 for a water treatment. We've been working really closely with Island Health to try to come to an agreement on this system. We've had a system that's in place for quite a while, but they're really wanting us to upgrade it into something that is, in their eyes, more sustainable and less liable for students to have to be educated, that they can go about and feel comfortable that the system is treated. So that's a pretty big deal for us for such a little school, but we're confident in the system that is being designed. So we're working through the design right now. But that is $100,000 ask for that project, but that system will outlive that school. So we're pretty confident in that repair going forward. Transportation, it just needs a bit of a facelift in the office area. If any of you all been in there, it's due. It's due for a little bit of life. So we're going to throw $25,000 at it and hope to move it along a little bit. We are anticipating a potential move here at maybe at one of our schools with regards to portables. So we have allocated $200,000 within this AFG plan for a potential portable move and some repairs. So keep an eye out for that one. Asbestos abatement, we have been working with Kelly closely, and we're looking at creating a more robust asbestos and hazmat inventory. So you're just seeing this is part of that. We will actually be doing an inventory in all of our schools. So the times 10 means we're just going to tackle 10 of our schools this fiscal. And then within the next multiple fiscals, we'll get the rest of our facilities all caught up as well. So that actually is a huge win for the district and our contractors and stuff that have to do work in our schools. So that's a big item that we're happy to get underway. Playground repairs, we're just keeping a miscellaneous placeholder for this one for 20K because we do have a bunch of playgrounds that are fantastic playgrounds, but they do need maintenance repairs and they're getting at that age. So we've got 20,000 to be able to assist us with that. Mount Provo, they've got a significant amount of wood fiber that they use as their accessible substrate that the PAC had purchased in the past. But as you can see, like a $15,000 ask is pretty hefty. So we're trying to figure out a plan as we start to really upgrade into these accessible playgrounds, how we can capture the maintenance and renewals of them. So we're looking at a $15,000 placeholder here to be able to help out Mount Provo for the top up of the wood fiber. We also have 30,000 for other various playground contributions through the PEP program, and that's just to get it to where it needs to go. The ministry gives us 165,000, but realistically, we always find that there's other incidentals and things like that as well. So we try to earmark a bit of a placeholder for that. You'll see 50,000. That is just some AFG that will complement our major or minor capital projects through CNCP, SEP, and which includes the 2 dust collectors, the one at Shermanus Secondary School and the one at Francis Kelsey. So that'll help us just kind of get those projects to 100% finished. What do we got? Plumbing. So we just got a little bit of miscellaneous stuff for replacing the custodial sinks. We still got those like raised custodial sinks that is pretty difficult for custodial to work on. So we're going to actually get rid of those and go to the more standard in-floor sinks. That's just overdue. They're old. I think most of them were in the 60s, early 70s. So we're looking to upgrade those. And then we got 2 phone system replacements, which are carryover out at Lake Cowichan to do those buildings. And then out in our transportation yard, we have an old above ground storage tank for our fuel that is just not designed correctly for any environmental contamination containment. So we haven't, it just got raised with these floods that it was a concern that we want to address. So we're looking at modifying that just in case these floods do happen to hit us more frequently, that we are prepared in advance. And so that is just shy of 50 projects we're anticipating this year with a total budget of 1.937057. I will stop sharing or would you like me to continue to share if you have any questions or anything like that about projects?
Are there any questions from trustees? No questions? Did you want to further some comments to us? No?
No, I'm happy to kind of to present this to you and then move it forward. We're excited to get on the work, and you'll probably notice like something like this is not as robust as maybe other years, because we are finding that just even with inflation and things like that, our ability at the cost to do work has increased so drastically that that does impact the amount of projects we can do, or the type of projects we can also do. So some things also we would normally try to do under AFG now are so expensive we have to actually ask for ministry assistance through their minor capital programs. So
Well, I'm just really impressed with the detail that you have of each school site. Takes a tremendous amount of energy and long hours to be doing that. So the plan looks like it's very well designed, and it's very comprehensive for the whole district. So congratulations to you and your team. That's a lot of work. So
Thank you.
Thank you. And any questions or comments from trustees? Trustee Croft?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say it's really nice to see projects on there that, sort of have an immediate effect and making, life for the students and staff a little more pleasant, a little less mud on the fields, and, easier to navigate for the custodians and that kind of thing. And I know not all projects can be quite so forward facing, but it makes it easy to appreciate the work that you do and to see the benefits right away. So, and as Trustee Candace said, I think the details are not only impressive, they're overwhelming. My goodness, what a list. And I know that's probably based on your knowledge and your colleagues connecting with the schools and really knowing what's important to them and important to education. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Croft, and thank you, Mr. Dybel, for joining us today and for all of the work into your department. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
So there is a motion. Are we ready for that, Mr. Sandquist?
The motion is required, as this report needs to be submitted to the ministry.
Okay, so there's a suggested motion moved by Trustee Croft, seconded by Trustee Thorn. Any discussion on the motion to approve the annual facilities grant plan? Okay, I'll call for the vote then. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And Mr. Sandquist?
We're getting very close to 6 p.m. and Board Policy 7 requires a 2/3 majority vote to extend beyond 6 p.m. So I believe I don't believe we'll be able to get through our business in the next 3 minutes. So I think that motion may be in order.
Okay, is there a mover of that motion? Trustee DeGroot, seconded by Trustee Croft. Any discussion on the motion to continue past 6 o'clock? Okay, all those in favor? Motion carries. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now proceeding to the elections bylaw. This is the end of the 4-year term for this board, and there will be an election on October the 15th. The board is required to pass an elections bylaw that lays out how the election will be conducted, as well as gives authority to the chief election officer and to the secretary treasurer. The authority to the chief election officer is in regards to establishing voting and voting protocols and voting places, to the secretary treasurer to enter into cost sharing agreements with the local municipalities, which are governed by the Local Government Act. So when it comes to the municipalities, they can only charge incremental charges, cost to the election, to the school district, but the regional government can cost share on an equal basis. So we are currently looking at those agreements, but we haven't entered into them yet. So we do have a bylaw here for the board and will ask for 3 readings, as it does need to be adopted by July.
Thank you, Mr. Sandquist. So is there a mover for the first reading to trustee election bylaw number 2203? Moved by Trustee Doman, seconded by Trustee Thorn. All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to the second reading. Is there a mover? Trustee DeGroot, Trustee Kemmler, any conversation on the motion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to considering 3 readings at this meeting. Is there a mover of that motion? Moved by Trustee Thorn, seconded by Trustee Doman. All those in favor? Motion carries. And moving to the third and final reading of the motion. Is there a mover? Trustee DeGroot, seconded by Trustee Doman. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. And this looks like a time to make a statement on my behalf. So as you all know, my passions are kids and educational success for each and every one of them. I've worked in education for 47 years as a teacher, administrator, and trustee, which includes 21 years in the Cowichan Valley School District, and I've loved every moment of it. I will really miss the relationships I've developed in the school district with trustees, staff, community leaders, and children and their families. I will also miss the challenges, believe it or not, to make things better for students in their schools. However, it is time for me to heed the call of my family and to not run as for a trustee position in the fall election. So I'm just letting you know. Okay. Thank you. So moving to item 10, committees and outside organizations. And we have 2 motions arising from the April 26, 2022 BEBC meeting. The first motion is around the Trails Outdoor Academy, Fine Arts Academy, and Computer Studies Academy at Francis Kelsey Secondary School. And that motion was has ended up at the board level from BEBC. Is there a mover for that motion? Moved by Trustee Kemmler, seconded by Trustee DeGroot. All those in, any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Motion carries. And the second motion under academies and academy fees, and the motion that has been recommended to us is that we approve reestablishing a hockey academy and establishing a soccer academy at Francis Kelsey Secondary School, and authorize the fees be set at $300 per year per academy. Is there a mover? Moved by Trustee Kemmler, seconded by Trustee DeGroot. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Trying to find my next page here. Been buried. Item 10.1.2, out of school care. And this also from BEBC, that the Board of Education of School District 79 Cowichan Valley continues the out of school program at Bench Elementary. Is there a mover for that motion? Moved by Trustee Croft, seconded by Trustee Thorn. Any conversation on the motion? All those in favor? Motion carries. And a aligned motion that the Board of Education of School District 79 Cowichan Valley approves expanding the number of out-of-school programs within other elementary schools for next year. A mover, Trustee DeGroot, seconded Trustee Thorn. All those in favor? Motion carries. And item 10.1.3 is 5-year custodial equipment replacement plan. And our Secretary Treasurer has put it up before us. This also comes from BEBC as a recommendation that the Board of Education of School District 79 Cowichan Valley approves the 5-year custodial equipment replacement plan. A mover for the motion, Trustee Croft, seconded by Trustee Thorn. Any conversation on the motion? All those in favor? Motion carries. And we're finished that section. So moving to 10.2, minutes of the March 29th, 2022 EBC meeting. Is trustees absent? Trustee Kemmler?
I'd like the Board of Education receive the minutes from the March 29th BEBC meeting, please.
Thank you. Moved by trustee Kemmler, seconded by trustee Groot. All those in favor? Motion carries.
And as Secretary Sandquist said, we were in lots of BEBC meetings, so I'd also like to move that the minutes from the April 14th special BEBC meeting be received by the Board of Education.
Thank you. Moved by trustee Kemmler, seconded by trustee Croft. All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to 10.4, highlights of the April 14th, 2022 DSAC meeting. No trustee was in attendance. Is there a trustee who's willing to move that motion of receipt? Moved by trustee Croft, seconded by trustee Doman. All those in favor?
Put it
Motion
completely
carries.
away and see if it opens better.
I'm sorry, trustee Kemmler?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. 10.5 is highlights of the April 19th, 2022 advisory committee meeting. And now trustee Kemmler, over to you.
Sorry. I'd like to move that the Board of Education receive the highlights from the April 19th advisory committee meeting.
Moved by trustee Kemmler, seconded by trustee Thorne. All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to 10.6, minutes of the April 21st, 2022 DPAC meeting. Trustee Croft, you were in attendance.
I move that we accept those minutes.
Receive the minutes. Moved by trustee Croft, seconded by trustee Thorne. All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to 10.7, highlights of the April 22nd, 2022 Vista AGM. Trustee Kemmler.
We met on April 22nd at Vista during the AGM that's been well talked about in this meeting. And it was a good business meeting, and there was minutes at the hub if you want to check them out. And there was nothing that I really need to bring forward today.
Except that you are now the second vice president of Vista. are you not?
Well, I am.
Yes.
I could maybe conveniently forgot that. Yeah.
Well, there you go. All
Yes,
right.
there were elections. There was no change in the elections except that I was added. So yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving to 10.8, highlights of the April 23rd, 2022 provincial council meeting. And I know trustee Kemmler, you attended for trustee DeGroot.
I did. I was privileged enough to get to attend. It was my first provincial council meeting, so I found it very interesting. It was a nice breakfast morning, and we passed the budget as we have done here tonight. And it's another budget. Wasn't nearly as well presented as when Mr. Sandquist does it, but we were able to pass it, so that was good.
Well, thank you. And I believe there's no increase of fees. Is that
No,
correct?
no increase of fees.
And is perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, moving to item 11, upcoming meetings and events. If we could take a quick look at the calendar and just make sure we've all of those organized for ourselves. Just like to suggest that the June 21st, oh, wait a sec. Nope, that's okay. June 21st advisory, we'll keep that date. We're not quite into the end of the year yet. Trustee Croft?
Just a question on the retirement reception. It says invitation only. Should all trustees expect to receive an invitation?
All trustees are hosting the event.
Okay, good.
So not only an invitation, but you will have duties there. Which,
Okay,
it's in person this year, so it should be back to the old routine.
okay, lovely. Thank you so much.
And don't forget, if you're using this as a calendar, May 28th is our board performance review follow-up, 9 to 1. Anything else anyone wants to comment on or ask questions about? Okay, thank you. Moving to year-end functions, and that was also on an overhead. Oh, thank you. So the only thing I would like to mention is, of course, the liaison trustee would be responsible for each school that has graduation award ceremonies. Okay, any other questions about that? Okay, and I just say that the retirement function at the June meeting will go over responsibilities. Okay. Any further comments on year-end functions? Okay, thank you. Looking at number 12, correspondence, we don't have any. 13, no new business. 14, we're in question period. So Mr. Sandquist, if you could let me know if we have any questions, that would be great.
Thank you. We have the question and answer open. If there's anybody in the audience who has a question, we'll just wait for 20 seconds or so. And if there isn't, we can move on.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing none, I believe we can move past that item.
Okay, thank you. So moving to adjournment, motion to adjourn, please. Moved by trustee Doman, seconded by trustee DeGroot. All those in favor? Motion carries.